As you heard earlier, the president is pushing to withhold federal funding from various cities he sees as not doing enough to stop outbreaks of violence. Cities like Portland, Seattle, Washington, D.C., and New York.
New Yorkers are unsafe, and they don't have a mayor, they don't have a governor that is willing to protect them. And this administration, this president is insisting on working with governors to be able to ensure that they can secure their communities, and he's taking bold action here in a legal way.
Let's discuss this new focus from the administration with Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, Mike, good to see you.
Bernie, your thoughts on your beloved city and the president applying pressure on Mayor de Blasio and other prominent Democrats?
Well, I don't think he has a choice, Mike. I think there has to be some accountability to these Democratic leaders in these cities like New York, Portland, Seattle, D.C., and others that have completely failed to secure their cities, and it's only getting worse. So I think that's why the president is applying the pressure. And I have to tell you, I'm outraged at the governor's comments, because I think the governor doesn't realize the president does have an army. He has an army of the NYPD that will support him any day of the week that he walks down the streets of New York City. I can guarantee it.
Here's more on this issue from President Trump tonight in Battleground, Pennsylvania.
For the entire summer, Biden was silent as far-left rioters viciously attacked law enforcement in Democrat-run cities hall, burned down businesses, terrorized civilians, and just recently marched through the streets chanting "Death to America."
Kevin, how do you respond?
Yeah, Mike, you know, it's an interesting calculation for this president to be making 2 months out from the election today. We're just 2 months away, that he is still ratcheting up this aggression towards citizens. And what this president has failed to realize over these last 4 years is that he's the president of this entire country, not just his base of supporters, but he's the president of New Yorkers, residents in Portland, residents here in Washington, D.C. And I don't think it's a winning strategy to continue these attacks on the people of these cities. He's not going to win over anyone else in rural America, in the heartland of this country, by attacking their cousins that live in these cities. I just don't think, you know, it's a winning strategy. Politics is a game of addition, not subtraction. And 2 months out from this election, I just don't think it's a winning strategy.
Bernie, is it possible by irritating these local mayors it may produce a result in terms of safer cities?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, it's about time for them to do their job. The bottom line is they haven't done their job. They haven't tried. In addition to that, they have villainized the cops. They've victimized the thugs. They've emboldened the thugs, and they've done nothing when the shootings, murders, and violent crime has risen to levels it hasn't been in decades. So I think the president doesn't have a choice. He has to keep the pressure on, and he's doing it for the people of those cities. If he irritates the governors and the mayors, so be it, but he's going to make the cities, he wants to make the cities safer.
From City Journal, after severe looting in New York City, Governor Andrew Cuomo observed that the NYPD and mayor did not do their job. That was true all around. Many of the officials involved were liberal Democrats who shared the ideals of the protesters and were paralyzed by fear of doing anything that might transform them into villains of the narrative. Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, Mike, I think what's lost in all this and what the president is trying to distract us from is that this is happening on Donald Trump's watch. This isn't Joe Biden's America. This is Donald Trump's America. And I remember when the commissioner was in control of New York City, his push to have more federal engagement with his force. And that's what we need in this country is cooperation between the federal government and local police forces. The commissioner complained about that when he was in charge of the forces. And that's what we need. We don't need antagonizing from this White House. We don't need these complaints from this president. We need real presidential leadership working with partners on the ground, not attacking them, but how can we bring down crime in some of these isolated cities?
Gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Bernie, Kevin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Breaking news from Portland on the man linked to the shooting death of Patriot Prayer member. That's next.